This looks like a massive deal, but once you look closer, it tells a completely different story because you don't structure a contract like this unless you're preparing for something. And now the question isn't how much Travis Kelce got paid, it's how long the Chiefs actually expect this to last. This might be a bigger problem than anyone expected because Travis Kelce just signed a $57.7 million deal, and somehow it doesn't actually mean what it says at all. On the surface, it looks massive. 3 years, nearly $58 million, around $19 million per year. That puts him right at the top of the tight end market. But here's the problem. This isn't really a 3-year deal. It's barely even a 2-year deal. And there's a real argument. It's just a 1-year agreement in disguise. And that changes everything. Because when you look closer, the guarantees tell the real story. Only about $12 million is actually locked in. That's it. For a player of Kelce's status, that number is shockingly low. And it immediately raises a question the league is starting to ask. What are the Chiefs actually planning here? And this is where it gets interesting, because this deal isn't built for security. It's built for flexibility, extreme flexibility, for Kansas City and for Kelce, because both sides know something they're not saying out loud. Time is running out. Kelce is 36 years old, coming off a season that, by his standards, was quiet. 76 catches, 851 yards, 5 touchdowns. For most tight ends, that's solid. For Kelce, that's a clear drop from his peak. And that's not criticism, that's reality, because the version of Kelce that dominated for years, 1,000-yard seasons, unstoppable chemistry with Patrick Mahomes, that version is starting to fade. Not gone, but changing. And the Chiefs see it. They have to, because they're not just paying for past production anymore. They're projecting future value, and that's where this deal becomes strategic. Because instead of committing long-term, they've essentially created an annual decision point. Every year, they can reassess, keep him, restructure, or move on. No heavy financial penalty, no long-term cap damage, and that's rare for a player of this caliber. Now flip it to Kelce's side, because this isn't a loss for him. Not at all. He gets the headline number, he gets the respect, he stays tied to a contender, and most importantly, he keeps control. Because if he wants to walk away after one season, he can. No pressure, no obligation to finish the contract. And that ties directly into the biggest questions surrounding him right now. Retirement. Because it's not hypothetical anymore. It's real. It's close. And this contract reflects that. This is not a deal for a player planning to grind through 3 more seasons. This is a deal for someone taking it year by year. And that's the hidden message here. Because the Chiefs aren't just managing a contract, they're managing an ending, a very specific kind of ending. One where they stay competitive while preparing for life after Kelce it. And that's not easy because Kelce isn't just production, he's structure. He's a safety valve for Mahomes, a third down solution, a red zone weapon, a coverage dictator. Replacing that isn't about finding another tight end, it's about redesigning the offense, and that process doesn't happen overnight. So what the Chiefs are doing is buying time, controlled time, flexible time, time to transition without collapsing. But here's the problem. That transition might already be happening faster than expected because the production dip isn't random. It's part of a trend. 2 straight seasons under 1,000 yards, less explosiveness, less separation, still effective, but no longer unstoppable. And when a player built on timing and chemistry starts to decline, even slightly, it changes how defenses play you. They stop fearing you the same way. They start allocating resources differently. And that impacts the entire offense, not just one player. Now add in the psychological side, because when a team structures a contract like this, players notice, the locker room notices, the league notices. This isn't a full commitment. It's a controlled relationship. And for a franchise icon like Kelce, that's unusual. It signals respect, but also realism, gratitude, but also preparation. And that balance is hard to manage because if Kelce plays at a high level again, this deal looks like a steal. If he declines further, it looks like foresight. Either way, the Chiefs protect themselves, and that's the key takeaway. This contract isn't about maximizing Kelce's value. It's about minimizing risk, and that tells you exactly where Kansas City believes things are heading. So the real question isn't whether this deal is big. It is. The real question is this: Are we watching the final chapter of Travis Kelce's career, or just the beginning of the end? Because the structure of this contract already suggests one answer. We just haven't seen it play out yet. This might look like a massive commitment, but in reality, it might be the opposite. Because when Travis Kelce signed that 3-year, $57.7 million extension, the headline told one story, but the details told another. On paper, it's huge. Nearly $19 million per year, one of the highest paid tight ends in the league. The kind of number that makes you think the Chiefs are all in, locked in, committed for the long haul. But then you look closer, and everything changes because buried inside that deal is the part no one talks about enough. Only $12 million guaranteed. That's it. For a contract that big, that's not security. That's flexibility. And suddenly, this doesn't look like a 3-year deal anymore. It looks like a year-to-year agreement disguised as something bigger. A deal where Kansas City keeps control and Kelce keeps his options open. Think about what that really means. The Chiefs aren't tying themselves down. They're not committing to paying him deep into his late 30s. They're protecting themselves, just in case. And at the same time, Kelce isn't locking himself in either. He's not saying, I'm here for 3 more years. He's saying, I'll be here as long as I want to be. Because let's be honest, at 36 years old, this isn't about long-term planning anymore. This is about timing. Kelce has already done everything. Super Bowls, All-Pros, Pro Bowls, records, a resume that's already screaming Hall of Fame. There's nothing left to prove, and you can see it on the field. Last season, 76 catches, 851 yards, 5 touchdowns. Good numbers, but not Kelce numbers, not the dominant, unstoppable force we saw in his prime. And for the second straight year, no 1,000-yard season. That matters because for years that was automatic, a guarantee. Now, it's a question. Which brings us back to the contract, because this deal isn't about rewarding the past. It's about managing the future. From the Chiefs' perspective, this is a calculated move. Keep the legend, keep the leadership, keep the connection with Patrick Mahomes, but don't overcommit, don't get stuck. From Kelce's perspective, it's even simpler. Control, freedom, no pressure. If he wants to play 1 more year, he can. If he wants to walk away after this season, he can. No heavy guarantees, no complicated exit, no strings attached. And that's why this deal is raising eyebrows, because it's not really a contract. It's a compromise, a team preparing for life after a legend without actually saying it out loud, and a player preparing for the end without officially announcing it. Because let's not ignore what's happening off the field. The spotlight is bigger than ever. The attention, the fame, the life outside football. Everything is pulling him in different directions. And when that starts happening, you start thinking differently about your body, your time, your future. So this deal, it reflects that perfectly. It's not about 3 years, it's about 1, maybe 2, at most. And the real question isn't how much he'll make, it's how much longer he'll play. Because eventually, every great career reaches that moment where it's no longer about ability, it's about decision. And right now, Travis Kelce is standing right at that line. Still elite, still valuable, still capable of changing games, but also closer to the end than the beginning. And this contract, it doesn't hide that, it confirms it. The number is big, the commitment is small, and that tells you everything you need to know.